Next on Worcester News tonight, one last effort to save the Notre Dame des Canadiens church. The historic building's fate will be decided soon. Plus, a central Massachusetts town adding more recreational marijuana shops to town, positioning themselves as a leader in the region. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Brittany Schaefer. A large turnout at the Worcester City Council meeting Tuesday. The Save Notre Dame Alliance asking councilors one more time to save the former church. In a statement last week, Mayor Joseph Petty says it's not the right time to use taxpayers' money on the building, but the Alliance is asking the City Council to outvote the mayor. Our Gretchen LaRosa was at the meeting tonight. She has our story.
It's do or die for the historic Notre Dame Church in downtown Worcester. It's been vacant since 2007, and despite efforts to preserve the church, its days now appear numbered. The church has been a staple of downtown Worcester for nearly a century, but lack of funds to repair and reopen the church makes demolition a harsh reality.
And now with the floor being compromised and with part of the demolition that has already begun to take place, they're talking in a $15 million range for us just to get it up to par so that it's, not compromised in any way.
City Councilor Candy Merrill Carlson says they have attended countless meetings in support of saving the church, but using taxpayer dollars is not practical.
We met up until last week trying to use everything in our wherewithal to figure out how is it that we save this. And, it's really unfortunate that we don't have the resources to do that.
The Alliance trying to save the church has a no-risk, no-reward mentality. Ted Connor, a co-leader of the Save Notre Dame Alliance, says it would be a big loss for the city of Worcester.
It's a beautiful old piece of architecture. It's very prominent in downtown Worcester. It tells an immigrant story, and it's just a whole lot of history there.
And while city councilors agree, they say at this point their hands are tied.
We have been working trying to save this beautiful piece of history in the city of Worcester, and it's really unfortunate that I don't see this as happening.
My hope is that in the coming weeks, even if things don't go our way tonight, that one or two of the councilors will recognize the importance of someone on the city side taking the lead and fighting hard to the bitter end.
Now, after hearing from members of the Alliance tonight and a lengthy debate among city councilors, essentially no action was taken tonight. Full demolition could begin as soon as the next few days. Brittany?
And that was our Gretchen LaRosa reporting. Thank you for that. Two brothers facing a judge today. According to police, they kicked and fought back against officers, placing them under arrest. Part of the incident was caught on camera and is creating conversation in the city. Our Rosalind Flaherty has the details.
23-year-old Mitchell Lugo and 27-year-old Zachary Lugo face a judge Tuesday.
Assault and battery, attempt to disarm police officer.
The two had a violent confrontation with police outside of the Riviera Show Club. It was caught on camera and ends with police throwing punches. In court, Mitchell is seen wearing a sling, Zachary with bruises on his face.
I feel like they shouldn't have used that much force.
Brittany Lee recorded the incident early Sunday morning.
There was a confrontation going on between them and some other guys, and the police had told them to leave or something. They wouldn't leave. Just really drunk and screaming and flailing around, and then finally the police officer tried to arrest him.
Police say the brothers resisted arrest. According to court documents, Zachary attempted to punch Officer Mason with his right fist, but missed him. They also state Zachary attempted to reach Officer Mason's firearm in an apparent attempt to disarm him. Both brothers declined to comment outside the courtroom. Worcester Police Chief Stephen Sargent says after initial review, the use of force falls within their policy. Police just released data last week showing in 2017, less than 0.5% of arrest cases had an unnecessary force complaint. Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
3 men face a judge Tuesday. Police say they found a loaded handgun inside their vehicle. According to Worcester police, the men revved the car's engine and drove quickly by a cruiser. Police stopped them and say the driver, Wilfredo Reyes, is a known gang member. Police say one of the men, Jonathan Torres, seen here at his arraignment, gave incorrect information to police. All 3 are facing multiple charges, including unlawful carrying a loaded firearm and improper storage of a firearm. President Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un shaking hands and sitting down together in Singapore. A Nichols College assistant professor of political science and international affairs is surprised it happened. The 2 leaders signing an agreement today with North Korea promising to get rid of its nuclear weapons, and in a surprise move, the U.S. saying it will end military exercises in South Korea. Dr. Erica Cornelius-Smith says while there hasn't been any further talk of inspections in North Korea, she says talking with Kim Jong-un is a big step.
It did seem sudden, it did seem unexpected, but I think both leaders had a lot personally and politically to gain from opening up these talks. I think that in some ways it might also mark a shift in international relations. I think especially when you pair it with the G7 summit. So we have a lot of historic Atlantic alliances with the European Union, with Canada, and relations there are not going as well as what happened in Singapore. So this could mark a significant departure from presidential diplomacy over the last 70 years.
Cornelia-Smith says during these international discussions, she would like to see more presence from China, South Korea, and Japan so it can be a multilateral denuclearization agreement. The town of Uxbridge is looking to add more businesses to the community, but some residents are concerned recreational marijuana shops may not be the best idea. Meanwhile, the Board of Selectmen say it will help the town. Our Chandler Walsh has the story.
Uxbridge has 3 host agreements with recreational marijuana businesses and is working on 2 more. The small town has a good percentage of the 16 license applications already completed in Worcester County.
Our community's been one of the leaders as far as opening up our zoning and getting our bylaws in place.
Town Selectman Susan Franz says a majority of the town's population voted in favor of recreational marijuana, though there are still mixed opinions among residents.
I think it causes a lot of problems for people.
Anything that is going to help this economy in this town in particular, which has suffered since the 1960s when we lost the majority of our textile industry, I think it's fine.
The businesses need to meet with Uxbridge Police and review their security plans before getting a license from the Cannabis Control Commission. Franz says many are interested in Uxbridge because the town put out clear rules early. She expects the establishments would bring in sales to help with town services.
We don't have any past numbers to work with, but I'm guessing a very baseline projection would be at least $500,000 a year, maybe $1 million a year.
Franz says there are roughly 200,000 open acres for marijuana businesses in Uxbridge, and the companies are bringing other types of businesses with them, which can help the local economy.
We have some businesses which just want to grow. We have some businesses that just want to create products like oils and those sorts of things, and they're now able to site next to each other.
Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
The Women's Initiative of Central Massachusetts hosting their first Power of the Purse event in the city Tuesday. The event showcased donated designer purses for sale. Dozens were in attendance, including Massachusetts Senate President Harriet Chandler. Every dollar raised will help the Women's Initiative give back to the community with programs in action to help end violence against young women. Organizers say fundraisers like these make a big difference.
That we just ran at Assumption College with middle school girls from Forest Grove, teaching them financial literacy and independence and budgeting. So it supports programs like that and others here in Worcester and Central Mass.
This is important to me. I've been involved with this from the very beginning, and what a fun way to support something.
The event was hosted in partner with the Bay State Savings Bank at the Mercantile Center. Harrington Hospital hosting their annual event in honor of National Cancer Survivors Day. Dozens of former and current cancer patients from the hospital and their families were at the event. The hospital says each year they try to do something special for their cancer survivors, including Fred DeGreggio. Who was diagnosed with stomach cancer in 2015, and he says he's not the only one in his family who has battled cancer.
Family. So I lost my wife 5 years ago to cancer, and my oldest daughter was diagnosed with cancer when she was 17 years old, and she's 50 now. So she was one of the lucky ones way back when. You know. So I've been touched by cancer in many ways.
DeGregorio says he recently had a cancer-free screening and is doing great. Harrington Hospital says Tuesday's event is an important one for their staff and patients who often build strong relationships during their treatment.
Over the time period where patients come in and are treated for their cancer, and not only with the staff but with other patients that they see on a day-to-day basis. So this is an event that really celebrates the patient's perseverance and the staff's caring and compassion.
The event was held under the garden tent at the Public House Historic Inn and Restaurant in Sturbridge.